Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see behind me, the wonderful George Foreman. And rest in peace, George Foreman, who passed away on March 21st of this year, 2025. And his public services were held today, and they were streamed live on many major networks. I am going to, for your convenience, upload them in the description box and also in the comment section. For those of you who don't actually go to the description box, I do understand that sometimes people just go to the video. But to make things easy for you, I'm going to upload it into the description box and the comment section for you if you're interested. I watched streaming along with it, and I found it to be very tastefully done. It was a respectful 2 hours, almost to the minute. It started on time. It felt semi-royal and deserving of this man. It felt, or it came across, I should not say feelings. Well, for me, it felt, but it also visually came across as honorable, um, an earned celebration of life, tasteful. And so I thought I'd share that with us today in this video. And let's just take a journey of George's life. So many of us just know him as a boxer, but probably like you, many times I attended service. Now I didn't attend this, but I'm talking in general. I attend a service and I can leave away learning so much more about the person that I didn't know. And certainly today, um, with this stream, I learned a lot more about George Foreman, and I want to share some of that and also mention some things perhaps we already know. Now, I have been having a little bit of a challenge with, see that little ring right there? I don't know what it is. I have uploaded, I have called, I have made contact. Everyone's trying to help me with that lighting, and I just say it's George's halo, and I'm just gonna let the universe have its way. If the universe wants to move it for me, please do. I do see it, but I'm going to acknowledge that it's there and ask for your understanding with that. But I think it's George's halo, but that's just my heart talking. Let's take a look at his life together. Some of this I'll be reading for accuracy's sake. So, George Foreman is a Capricorn, born on January 10th. Now, we know Muhammad Ali is a Capricorn, and he's born January 17th. And Ali used to say, yeah, you're 7 days older than me on the day, but I'm 7 years older than you in the life. And I used to get a kick out of that because, as you know, Ali used to say, well, I'm the greatest of all the time. And people talk about the goat. Well, Capricorn really is their symbolic animal is the goat. And I remember one time hearing the two of them clatter about which one will come out the real goat when they fight that fight in Africa, the Rumble in the Jumble. I think it's the Rumble Jumble, but I'll cover that properly before I end. They said, we're going to see which one is the real goat here. And Ali would say, there are many goats in the Capricorn that are athletes. And he's right. There's LeBron James is a Capricorn. Tiger Woods is a Capricorn. Muhammad Ali, of course, was a Capricorn. And George Foreman was, just to name a few. So I just thought I'd bring that in. So as I recognize his birthday. So he's born January 10th. And he passed away just this few weeks ago, March 21st. He was often referred to as Big George. And he had some very noteworthy fights. Of course, George Frazier in 1973, and then that Rumble in the Jungle in Africa with Muhammad Ali, in which he did not win that fight with Ali, but it really gave his name a huge boost because Ali's name was so big at the time. And there was so much talk about you know, tying the opponent to the ropes. And George said that he's going to make something out of it, and he actually turned that loss to his advantage because he began to do other things with launching his name from a loss to a win. And I thought that was a one. That's a Capricorn move. That is a Capricorn move. They don't take losses easy. So there we have him. He was also an Olympic medalist and was the oldest world champion, heavyweight champion in history at 46 years old and 169 days when he had his last fight, by which he won. So he was record breaking. He was a well-known name. He kept a good persona, and this showed in his life celebration today. And these are many things we know about George Foreman as a boxer, which doesn't need to be rehearsed again yet here. But I would say that we will talk about some of his business adventures because, the George Foreman Grill. And he was also an Advent Christian where he actually had a church membership, not a church membership, a church by which he was ministering. And most of his service today, as you'll see if you choose to watch it, was his own voice inviting people to embrace Christianity. And um, I believe it was a past PSA that he had where he talked about the many struggles that he had and the comebacks that he had, and how he would credit that to the faith that he carried, and that his upbringing would never have offered such a life for him, that he felt that it could only be Jesus in his words. It could only be God guiding his life. And that was certainly cherishing to hear. In this service today, you would see that so many people shared a personal side of him that worked around what we would normally consider a fighter. Because when we see a fighter in the ring, we see aggression. We see the thunder of the boxing gloves. We see almost the use of rage to win the fight, going to their corners and getting motivated back from their sparring partners. Go back out there and get them. And you see that. But to come back out as a gentleman is very telling as to the persona and the character and the integrity of the person. And we can all say that to the degree that you've recognized him, that he has presented himself that way. So now let's talk about his personal life now, because I don't want to make this lengthy. I would love for you to see the services today. But I would say for his personal life, so let's focus before I move on. His spiritual change in ministry. He was always, as a youth, he had religion in his life, as he would say in many of his books. By the way, he's written over 20 books, and he's always referencing the three things: his upbringing, his spiritual life, his Christian walk, and his boxing career, which led to many business endeavors, the George Foreman Grill and other things. So he was good to give kudos to the success of his attempts by which he had no control over, and acknowledging that a greater hand was involved. Where he once said that in an article, the New York Times reported that then a giant hand plucked him into consciousness. Foreman found himself on a locker room table surrounded by friends and staff members, in which he felt that the presence of a dying Christ, and he asked to be resurrected himself. And he rose again, saying that He kissed everybody in the dressing room, and he vowed to always share his experiences in his ministry, and he was sure to do that. So take a look at that. Also, I'll drop that Wikipedia into the description box. So as to his personal life, now that was interesting to me. George was married 5 times. George was married 5 times and he had 12 children. He had 5 sons, and all the 5 sons were named George also. Oh my God. All the 5 sons were named George also. Now that I knew, and I would say, who would do such a thing? How do you separate which George? What if you're at dinner and you call George? Which George is going to answer? I always thought about that. But who would do such a thing but a rare, unique individual, uncommon man like he was? Do you know anybody else who has 5 sons named after them? The same name? Do you know anybody? So he definitely was rare and uncommon. So there we have it. Foreman was married to his last wife since 1985. So he got it right. So I guess 5 times, and at least you get it right. You have to respect love when you spend so much time with one or another and still are willing to try a third, fourth, or even fifth time where he got it right. So 5 times. And he had been married to her since 1985. So what, 40 years? Mary Joan Martley. He had 4 previous marriages to Adrian Calhoun from 1971 to 1974. So that's just 3 years. Cynthia Lewis, here's the Lewis, from 77 to 79. So that's just 2 years. Sharon Goodson from 81 to 82. So that's just 1 year. So he's actually going backwards. Calhoun was 3 years. Lewis was 2 years. And Goodson was what? George was going backwards. And then he had married Andrea Skill from 82 to 85. So he went back up to 3 years. But he got it right with his last wife, and by which death did do them part. So from those marriages, he had 12 children. Like I said, five sons, and 7 daughters. And they all would speak about how their father, and you'll hear some of this in their services if you choose to watch, how their father did not just pour. Shaquille O'Neal said the same thing. My kids are not just going to have me pour my hard earned wealth unto them. They're going to have to earn it. And his kids talked about the fact that his dad said, sure, you want $1 million of my dollars? Get involved with my business. Because none of George's business, as they said even in the services, had boards of directors, they were large, but they didn't employ a lot of people. He was building a family empire that can continue on. That's his legacy. That can continue on with his other Georges. The other the five son Georges are his daughters. He built a legacy for them to learn, understand, be around business, understand marketing, learn how to buddy up and partner with other people, and not necessarily make them a partner in the business, but help have them help you expand your own business. That's the best business. And so George was able to do that as well. Like I said, he had books. It wasn't just boxing for him. He had 20 books. He had the George Foreman Grill. He did his speaking tours where his speaking and appearances would earn him $10,000 plus. And he was a wonderful spokesperson for all of his businesses. And he had great stories to share, wonderful storyteller. And so let's see, he was also very patriotic. He would be involved with many of the celebrations for Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Now, here's one thing that also stood out to me about George Foreman today, and that is the charity work that he did, both openly and anonymously. That he would have boxing clinics. He would show up in appearance. He would have he would take pictures and autograph the photos with people. He was accessible. He was presentable, by which you felt like you know him. You felt like it would be okay to go up and have a talk with him. And he came across as personable. And isn't that the person we love the most? The person that seems to welcome us into their presence, even if they're a big famous name like that. And for that, we're very grateful to have George Foreman during our own loving years, in which he passed at the age of 76. It's 76 nowadays. It does seem still young. It seems young. So, having said all that, is there anything else that I think I'd like to share? Well, as you can research yourself, the George Foreman grill had sold over 100 million units. So he did quite well with that George Foreman grill. He earned endorsements from it, and his namesake was also the use of his name also garnered money. So he was an astute businessman. He was smart money manager. Now, where do you get that given his upbringing? But being smart, tapped in, spiritual, aware, loving, kind, acceptable, embracing, sharing, generous, good, understanding, like he was. And so rest in peace with your little halo. George Foreman, I hope you enjoyed this love offering in honor of George Foreman's great life and contribution that he left us with. The history books will always have his many pages for his name. If you've gotten this far, please click like, share with a friend, and click subscribe. And I love you. Good night.